Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cosplay, Togs All Things Nerdy. So in this episode, it is rightfully called MCM EGX Picnic Round Up. And for this week's episode, we are joined by the lovely Lollypoppow. How are you doing?
I am doing good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
That's an absolute pleasure. Obviously, we will get into it a little bit later on, but obviously the title of the podcast was inspired by Saturday and Sunday's picnic, which we will probably we will be talking about, because obviously this is a review about MCM EGX from October. We are now 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks. As of recording, we're 2 weeks out of it. We were going to record an episode on the Sunday, but we'll get into the reasons why we didn't do one on the Sunday. Stuff just happens. Yeah. Anyway, we are also joined by iPhoto UK as well, my podcast partner over at Cosplay, Togs All Things Nerdy. So yay! All right, so where do we want to start this time?
Well, I don't know. I think let's not start it on a negative. Quite difficult, maybe. I don't know. To be fair, I think if I reflect overall, I think I had a fun event. I had a, things happen, which we'll come on to shortly, as Tom said. But yeah, I mean, this is the first time that MCM and EGX have merged their event. So I think normally Reepop put the EGX on event end of September, beginning of October, I think. Because you went to last year's EGX, didn't you, Lolly?
Yeah, October. Yeah, we skipped.
Yeah, it was like early October.
May.
I think last year it was like a couple of weeks before MCM London. And I think, that last year I was kind of like torn. Shall I do MCM? Shall I do EGX? And everyone said to me, EGX is a little bit quiet, so do MCM, which I did. So I was actually quite pleasantly surprised when they said they were merging the two this year. And more importantly, didn't put the ticket prices up. It was still the normal MCM ticket price, which some people say is high. I don't know. I'm not going to really comment on that. That's not what we're here to discuss. I tended on a creator pass. MCM, Reepop, EGX were kind enough to grant me a creator pass, which I'm always going to be grateful for. But I think if we judge the price on this event, which was EGX and MCM, I think it was a fair price. 2 events in one, 2 quite different events as well. So one, obviously, EGX, more gaming orientated. MCM is more your sort of Comic Con pop culture. I felt the MCM halls were a little bit smaller than normal. I think they shrunk it down a little bit to accommodate, maybe partly because the XL expansions weren't finished on time. They were supposed to be finished prior to October.
Do we reckon that with the expansions that we were going to be seeing EGX MCM in the expansion? Or
I think maybe they probably would have kept maybe would have still had EGX one side, MCM the other, but maybe they might have extended it down to the other end a little bit more by a couple of halls. I don't know. We can only guess, really.
So,
I was a bit disappointed to find that the XL expansions wouldn't be finished, because some of the plans that I've seen, the bottom end down by a loft, what they're going to do down that end actually looks quite cool, and I think would be quite good. Certainly some new areas for taking photos if we're allowed, which if MCM pay for that as event space, we would be. If they don't, then maybe not. Again, we'll come on to that whole discussion in a little while. But yeah, so I think, I had a fun time walking around and chatting to some of the stands. What was your overall feeling on the event, Lolly?
Again, mostly positive. Enjoyed it as I always do. And as I've said to you in one of the other sort of like podcast interviews, the socializing is what gets me. It was definitely a lot more busy this time. Like, it just felt like we were jam-packed. It was insane.
I agree to I was talking to someone about this the other day, actually, and like May felt really busy, October felt really busy. It seems like every event's getting busier and busier. But this time, I personally felt the inside was perhaps no more busier than the last two MCMs, May and October. But the outside area in particular, out on the green, by the trees and the walls, I felt was busier than ever. Whether that was down to the incredibly warm weather we had over the weekend for October, I think that probably had something to do with it. Because it's
it was warm weekend. I mean,
we were walking around in our t-shirts.
I was walking around, but that's me year or year.
You know, I'm generally don't feel the cold all that much, but yeah, it was an incredibly nice weather over the weekend, I think. But yeah, maybe that had something to do with it. But it was incredibly busy walking around. It was tough to walk around at times. I did kind of tend to avoid some of the busier areas as much as I could, particularly on the Saturday. Friday was probably the busiest I've ever seen a Friday. Friday felt like a busy Sunday, and then Sunday just felt like the Saturdays used to. It was just, it was very busy.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like you're saying that, I feel like we're saying it was busy, but are we maybe seeing the increase of the popularity of conventions, because there are a lot of conventions popping up in the UK as well as overseas as well. So I'm wondering, maybe because the popularity around conventions and cosplay is getting bigger, are we starting to see an increase of more people attending events?
I think so.
But I think also you've probably got to take into account that, as we've already said, this was a joint event. It was two events. It was two events in one. So I would kind of expect it to be a bit busier anyway. And let's not forget, we all bitch and moan sometimes about different things of MCM, as we all do with probably other events. Nothing's ever perfect, but maybe we take things for granted a little bit too much, because MCM is still the one event where we can all see everybody in one place.
Especially with London being the biggest, being one of the biggest events calendar year. Yeah, we have it twice a year. We have it in May and October, but London is the biggest one. So it's 9 times out of 10, that's where we're going to see friends. And like we were saying, socialization part of it is I know for me, it's one of the funnest elements of part of them is socializing and seeing friends you haven't seen. It's like your friends all over the country that come down to do this convention. So I suppose from that avenue, that's the highlight for me personally.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think
it's just a nice. Sorry, carry on.
No, you go. You're our guest of honor this week. So,
thank you so much. No, I definitely agree. Just seeing people, even if you have like your own sort of like friendship groups that you might do things with outside of Comic Con and things like that. Like my friendship group, even though we see each other, it's still a key event that we, like you said, we all come to. We all will just travel cross country to go and see. And to just have a chance to meet up with everybody, different people. We've got people coming from Manchester, it's like, it's just incredible. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think maybe we just need to like it's not from a photographer's perspective, it's probably not as good for taking photos anymore. I think that kind of depends on what kind of photographer you are, of course. For me, I think there's two categories of photographer that are con photographers or event photographers that are happy to take photos of people anywhere in the event, capture a snapshot of any said person with people in the background by the trees, maybe sometimes take them away and move them around. And there are what I would class as the more creative photographers. Those are the ones that will sort of go out of their way to not necessarily make it look like it wasn't shot at a con. putting a bit more of a creative spin on it. So either using the people that are in the background to make the shot, or by putting them against a grey wall and then doing something in post, or as we saw some people do, just setting up a complete studio with a backdrop and everything outside, which was bonkers. I've never seen that before. But you know, when space is tight and you've got to do what you've got to do. So yeah, I think, you know, for me as a photographer with the style of photography that I do, it's probably getting more and more difficult to take photographs in the way that I like to take photographs. However, I am kind of coming to a realization that I can, you know, these events still have a place, but in a different way. Like, I'm networking more for my own photography, so that, you know, people become more aware of me and who I am that I perhaps haven't worked with before, that I can then catch up with and shoot creatively at other events or out of con. Networking more for obviously the podcast channel. And this is what me and Tom did a lot, I think, during the whole weekend, was networking a lot, doing interviews for the podcast. You know, we were asking people questions, yourself included. You were on one of our interviews, and just trying to capture the moment from the event and trying to get to know people a little bit, and letting people out there get to know the people on the interviews a little bit as well. And I personally found that real, like, massive fun, just doing something a bit different. And also over the years, I've been going to MCM events now since 2017. Some people have been going a lot longer than that, but I never really bothered to embrace the actual event and properly go around inside and be a con goer, be a nerd. But this time I did. I took time out, saw some panels. I even did a photo op with Ella Purnell, which was like, you know, I'm a massive fan of hers, particularly her role in Fallout and Sweet Pea. And I was like, you know, I got to like Saturday night and I was like, you know what? Sorry, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to be a con goer and be a nerd.
Some pictures in Arcade as well.
Yes, Arcade. Yes, yeah. New season dropping this weekend as well.
This weekend, yeah. Tomorrow.
But yeah, it was just nice to be a nerd. Because I'm a nerd.
Welcome to the nerd crew.
It's nerd paradise, isn't it? But no, I think, you know, carrying on with Darren was saying, it was like, yeah, there was levels of frustration, especially from a photographer point of view. And I think I definitely fall within the category from a photographer point of view of want to be a bit more creative and being a bit different than just the same old thing every time. That's just my flavor. That's how I like to work as well. But like Darren was saying, I think the event, some is, or for everyone, is kind of evolving in very different ways. Like, I networked a lot more. And it was actually really nice to be able to have conversations with people and be able to stand there and have chats with people for longer than 5 minutes. Because normally when we're doing shoots, it's like, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing poses. We run through it.
This is it, yeah.
Go through so much that you don't get a chance to just stop and just have a good conversation with someone. So I feel like, yeah, we were socializing a lot more. We were walking around, doing a lot of podcasts, but we were also engaging and having conversations with everybody. So yeah, as much as we'll probably say some negative things about it, but I know from our point of view, our roles have vastly potentially changed, but also could be because there's also a lot more opportunities out there to have that creative side and do something a little bit different from a work perspective as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well, actually. I think because obviously the face of events as a whole are changing massively out there. There's a lot more events on the calendar now. You know, it used to be like con season used to start sort of mid to late March and used to run through till early November. Now the con season starts early January and runs through to December. There is no break anymore. It used to be horrible, really. You used to go like first week in November, I think it used to be MCM Birmingham, and then you used to have to go through till like March, which used to be at the time MCM Birmingham again. They used to run 2 events, and there was that massive gap before Christmas, over Christmas, and after Christmas, and everyone used to get con blues and all the rest of it. But now there are so many events out there, you know, and you've got different types of events as well. You've got your photo cons, your mainstream cons, your smaller cons. So you've got plenty of avenues out there now to almost fulfill every element. I know
Yeah.
This year, I've probably done more events than ever and my least amount of out-of-con shoots. But I've got enough content from other events to probably last me posting-wise till the middle of next year. So I'm at a point where I don't feel under pressure to shoot at MCM. It's nice to do so. And don't get me wrong, I did shoot. Probably only did about 5 shoots over the weekend, 6 shoots. Probably 4 of those were like main creative shoots. But the quality that I did produce in those is sort of up there. Some of the stuff we did with Annie on the Friday, and the stuff we did with Terry on the Saturday,
Sunday.
particularly the stuff I did on the Sunday with him, is top tier, and that was shot inside the con hall. So you just have to think outside the box a little bit. But I think for me, because I don't have to create photography content there anymore, it gives me the opportunity to branch out into other areas and enjoy the con more as a con, and utilize it for other things, you know. So yeah, I mean, so let's come on to the negative part.
Well, before we do though, I think we should probably go a lot into what sort of things from a cosplayer perspective because we don't want to jump straight down into the we'll be here for a while. Well, Lolly, what sort of, from a cosplayer perspective and from your point of view, from going to both EGX and MCM in the past, sort of what was some of the stuff that was like the highlight for you? You know, the positive sides from
Picnic. Oh, hell yeah. Picnic. That is top tier for me. That is up there.
That's right.
I will leave the picnic because I will not stop talking about the picnic and have not stopped talking about the picnic since. So I've been going on about that for like 2 weeks, which is crazy. So
I think so. Yeah.
Like literally my family, I was just sort of like, we had a picnic in the car park, and they were just sort of like, hey, and it was just sort of like, you don't get it if you weren't there. So I will get on to the picnic. But as I've mentioned in some of our previous conversations, some of the things that came up for me this time were just absolutely incredible. Walking around as a con goer, amazing. You get spotted, you see other things. But the thing that really got me was just this absolutely adorable little girl that I saw dressed up as, I could get this completely wrong because I haven't seen Wicked yet. I don't know if she's meant to be sort of like the sort of like up-to-date Good Witch, or if she's the back in 1939 Wizard of Oz Good Witch. But either way, she was absolutely adorable, beautiful pink sparkly dress. And she was the first one to initiate anything with me. And she smiled, she waved, she said hello. And I mean, my heart just melted. I was gone. And saw her, absolutely loved it. Couldn't stop. It was absolutely packed. We were walking between the aisles and the inside. And I was like, I said to sort of like my group, I was like, if I see her again, I have got to have a picture with her because she was absolutely adorable. She must have been about 5. Honestly, say she was 5. Really, really young. And then I saw her again, and I was like, "Sod it, I'm going for it." It's like I've just got to. So I asked her mum if I could have a picture taken with her. She was absolutely over the moon, and that made it for me. Making other people happy, making children happy. That really stood out for me. Just seeing other people and that recognition, not the side of it that it's me, it's the side of they are happy because of what they have just seen. And that is what makes it for me. So that moment definitely stood out.
Nice. Did you get to shoot with many photographers or any photographers throughout the weekend, or?
A couple, not as many this time. I feel like it was just absolute chaos, like, you know, busy. And like you said, I do feel that things are changing. So as much as sort of like I wanted to shoot with different people, I was very, very aware and very conscious of the fact that I could feel that things were changing. And I didn't want to push that. So trying to be sort of very respectful of that. But I did a couple of shoots. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. It was just sort of like a quick Beetlejuice video to sort of, I think it was actually for some of the, I don't know if they were photographers, videographers that worked for MCM, or they were doing something for the advert of MCM. But they wanted something to do with Beetlejuice. So on the Sunday that fit perfectly, being Dolores in the dress and the staples and everything. And then just a couple of others, but not many. But it was actually quite nice this time to, like you said, to be a nerd, to go around. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I would much rather now, reflecting back, and I was kind of like on the edge anyway. Over the last 18 months, I've tended to start shooting less at the mainstream cons like MCM and just chilling a little bit more. Issues with my back this time kind of forced my hand as well. I've got a bit of a back issue at the minute. I've got to be really careful. But looking at it now, I think I would rather not have the pressure of doing loads of shoots at something like MCM and just enjoy the event. Because I feel like I've missed so much at MCM events in the past by just spending all day, 3 days shooting, constantly searching around people, shoot, and then the time and effort you put into the actual shoots. When there is a lot to see there. I mean, when you go to a photo event like, I will mention it, Secret Con, you go to an event like that, the whole idea of that event is to create content. There isn't anything else to do or keep occupied. There's still a social element there, but there's no stands, there's no panels. It is just about shooting and creating content.
It's a very different environment, though, as well.
It is. And I think if we're just constantly shooting at the mainstream cons, we kind of lose. I'm just getting some wine. Just bear with me a second.
And also picnics at Secret Con.
Picnics, yeah. And we got,
it's something that we could potentially ask the organisers if they could have a section put aside for picnic area.
I think that would be such a good idea.
Oh,
put together a nice email.
We've certainly got the outside space at the one in June next year. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So look fantastic. Velvet road and everything.
In Magna, you got the park across the road. I'm pretty sure we're all big children. Be happy to go play in the park.
Yeah.
If only you knew people to supply the food. I wonder.
No, right? Anyway, let's stop talking about Secret Con. We're supposed to be talking about MCM.
Yep.
Anyway, but yeah, I think, I do feel that I've missed a lot in previous events, and the more I'm moving towards not shooting as much and spending more time enjoying it, more I'm kind of enjoying the event for what it is, if you like. They're not photo events; they are Comic Con events, and I think, as photographers, we've probably had it pretty good at MCM events for a long time. And I know now we're saying it's becoming more difficult, but maybe it's because we take things for granted a little bit. I don't know what you think, Tom. We don't have a right to be able to go and shoot anywhere we want. Really, I know everyone complained about stuff, and we'll come on to that.
We even complained at the time.
But I think having time to reflect on it now, I think,
definitely.
We don't have a right to go and shoot wherever we want. We don't have a right to be able to shoot creatively at all, really. They don't have to allow people there with cameras. They do allow, I think they're pretty lenient, to be fair, within the grounds of the event. They do have rules about no light stands and all the rest of it within the event, and the outside area comes under that, but they still allow people to use them out there. So, we've still got it pretty good, really, when you think about it, with the amount of equipment that we can use in and around the event.
The thing like you're saying there, though, is like especially from a photographer point of view, maybe we have been lucky, especially we use MCM London as the example here because it'll vary depending on venue, places, and fonts. But I feel like with MCM London, it has become very much, we probably have been very lucky over the years to be able to shoot where we've been able to shoot and do what we've been able to do over that time. I feel like now, like you're saying, like with the ways that cons are going, they're changing and stuff like that, that maybe I'll come back about a bit on allowing that side of things to do it, which in one hand, it's a shame because a lot of people then associate a lot of their con experience with coming to a con to see friends, cosplayers that they know, and also photographers that they like working with often. But also on the other hand, it's also from the con's perspective, it's a business at the end of the day, and they're bringing in these acts, the panels, these bits and pieces, and they have to secure and be safe and do all these bits and pieces to manage hundreds of thousands of people. So it's a bit of a both. You're never going to be perfect.
No, exactly. I mean,
never.
Well, I think now will be a time to discuss some of the issues, and then we'll come back on because, it is worth saying that none of the issues we're going to discuss here are the fault of MCM. I don't believe. I believe all the issues that we had as photographers and some of the other photographers that we know had were down to issues with Excel estate, media and security. So a lot of you will know that, if you want to go and shoot with people away from things and you don't want things in the background, generally you'll go outside the barriers. You might go down by the buildings near the Fox, or you might go down by the dockside or by the Sunbourne, set up a light stand, do a shoot. And in recent events, probably over the this year especially, last year I didn't see any issues at all. I've been doing that since I've been going to cons in 2017. This year, in January at MegaCon London, Excel started to tell people that you couldn't shoot there. You couldn't shoot outside of the event boundaries. It's Excel estates. You needed a permit for shooting, etc., etc. So, which is for people. One or two people applied for permits in May, didn't have an issue. They got questioned. I got questioned for shooting outside the barriers in May. Showed them my creator pass. Didn't have a permit. Had a creator pass. No issues. They were told, yeah, that's fine. This year, myself and Tom applied for permits, as did some of the photographers and videographers. We had to submit copies of our public liability insurance for, I think, 5 million. Some people I know specifically went and purchased public liability insurance policy so that they will be able to apply for a permit. And they approved them. No issues, no problems. I had to submit where I wanted to shoot, what I wanted to do, what times, what dates. I sent a risk assessment, and the following day I got an email from Excel Estates approving the permit. So on the Friday we got there, I thought, great, this is going to be a good event. We can do stuff for the podcast if we want, or we can go and shoot. I didn't really have too much intention of shooting a great deal because, again, I did want to enjoy the event. But then I started to hear a few reports from people that they'd been challenged by security, and that they'd been told that permits had been revoked. So I think that day I only did one shoot out the barriers. That was the one we did with Little Miss Anakin's down by the dock. I think we had 2 lights set up. There was myself and Tom and Annie. We were probably shooting there for probably a good 45 minutes to an hour because we did a podcast interview as well. Excel staff walked past, didn't bother us. So I thought, maybe this is just rumours or crossed wires. On the Saturday morning,
felt very much like normal. Like we had the rumours.
We didn't have any issues on Friday.
But there wasn't much in regards to people actually having issues like we did on the Saturday and onward, which was
No, I think there was a video from James, Dr. Weru Tog, who was one of the first to be challenged and told that permits had been revoked. And I know one or two other people, but there wasn't the sort of amount that there was on the Saturday. Maybe less people were shooting, I don't know. On the Saturday morning, we bumped into one of their head or on-duty head of security guys, Richie, and I had a chat with him. I thought, well, let's take this opportunity to get the info from the horse's mouth. So I asked him, said the issues that we'd heard and asked if permits had been revoked. And he told me in no uncertain terms, yes, they had. He also went on to say that in their Friday morning pre-event briefing, they'd been told by their superiors that no permits had been issued that weekend at all. Now, he said he's been on working the security team for, quite a while, and he himself thought that was very strange. On the Friday, his team went out, came across the first person shooting out there, challenged them to be shown a permit, a valid permit. Some calls and radio messages were done, and they were later told that the decision had been made to revoke all permits. I was told that decision was based on safety in regards to it being easier to control people within the barriered areas and easier to spot unscrupulous people, I will say, dodgy togs or however you want to put it.
Was that that was the official comment of the...
That was the official comment from the head of security. I said to him, look, I don't have anything in writing to say that my permit's been revoked. So if I was to continue shooting and be challenged by security, and I said, I quote, I've not had my permit officially revoked, I'm going to continue, what may happen? And in no uncertain terms, he said, it could go down the route that they were within their rights to call the police because permits had been revoked, and you could be physically removed from Excel Estates property and or issued with a ban so that you're no longer welcome on Excel Estates property at all. This was all hypothetical. We had a very, very polite conversation, actually. I will say Richie was extremely professional. He was extremely polite. We had a bit of banter. And at that point, I did say to him, well, look, if that's your official word, I'm doing some interviews and recordings for the podcast this weekend. So I'm going to stand over here and set my gear up and record an interview, put it straight out to social media with what you've just said. At that point, he just turned and said, I'm going this way. I've not seen you. Have a good day. Which was quite funny. So then at the time, that kind of put a bit of a damper on the situation because there was no way we could get hold of anyone from XL Media. They leave at 5 o'clock on a Friday and don't come back until 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, very conveniently. And so we had no way to challenge the decision or question it. So we were left then in a position where shoot inside the halls or outside with tons of people, or not shoot
at the event. It was a bit more complicated and probably also more dangerous to shoot inside the boundary.
Yeah. And
we're saying good weather, a lot of people, and there's a risk of more issues happening if you're inside the boundaries, for example. But
exactly. And as the day went on, we started to hear from more and more people who'd had issues trying to shoot outside the barriers. Even people not using light stand, just people with a professional camera were told you can't shoot out here with anything other than a phone, basically. So we did put the recording out on social media, just telling people that the information we'd been given. And within 24 hours, that reel had 4,000 views on Instagram. Probably my most successful reel I have on Instagram at the moment, actually. But hey, it also received a lot of messages and comments from people that had issues. who were disappointed. You know, rightfully so, I think. Whilst we don't have a right to shoot, and XL do, as they state, have the right to revoke permits, I think to do so at such short notice, with no official communication to be sent, it is a bit of a poor show. Then the event went on. I know one photographer that had taken to shooting outside was seen by one security guard, asked not to shoot, so moved around the corner. Seen by another security guard, asked not to shoot, moved around the corner again. Seen by one of the previous security guards that had seen him before, and told in no uncertain terms, if I see you again, I will call the police. They were taking
they were a lot more serious. They were a lot more serious in cracking down on photographers shooting outside of the boundaries, a lot more than what they've ever been before. And it's not all of them. Some of them were nice about it, from what I've heard, because obviously me and Darren ended up not shooting a lot outside and doing a lot of shoots that weekend. But from the stories and the information that we heard from other photographers was very much like, some were nice about it and just said, look, guys, can you just move on? And then others were, well, dicks about it. And
I mean, the other thing as well is, the other thing we found out from XL security on the Friday was, whilst they controlled the outside area, all the way down, literally all the way around the perimeter of XL, all the way down the side of the Fox, all the way down the side of the river, and their land stretches all the way down to the Emirates cable car. So they own the lot. Mm-hmm. What they don't own is the walkway to the bridge and the bridge. So, of course, then that just meant everyone was up on the bridge all weekend. The weather was nice, which then meant the bridge was difficult to shoot and get nice shots because, again, you've got people in the background. So that wasn't ideal. On the Sunday, we were walking to the car park again after getting the gear from Tom's car. We bumped into a few security guards that were working the car park on the weekend. We had a bit of banter with them. Had a bit of a laugh and a joke. And I kind of mentioned a comment about, I think one of them said, can we get a photo? Just laughing. And I said, yeah, why not? And he was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. So we did like a mini photo shoot with these three security guards. It was quite funny. And Tom at the time had got his light stand with him, with one of his flashes on and a softbox folded up. And I was like, oh, we better not set this up because, we're not allowed to, because, even though we've got a permit, it's been revoked. To which one of the security guards turned around and said, I've not heard about permits being revoked. Nobody's told us. So again, I think there was maybe a bit of miscommunication. Some of the security guards hadn't even got the memo that permits had been cancelled. Mm. And yet other security guards patrolling different areas of the car park had been told. And I think the ones that we were talking to were the ones around the corner from where we had the picnic. So had it have been other security guards, would they have told us to stop having the picnic? Who knows? It's a bit of a, we still got some shots inside. We still had a good weekend. That did put a bit of a dampener on things. The Sunday, we kind of came to terms with it a little bit more.
Chilled out a little bit more.
Yeah, just chilled out a bit more. And then Monday after the con, I got back, and myself and quite a few other photographers sent an email to XL Estates, obviously expressing our dissatisfaction. A day or two later, I think, the Tuesday actually, I received an email back from XL Estates, and I'll sort of read it out. It's quite a short email. Just says, Dear Darren, thank you for your email. We're sorry to hear about your experience during the recent MCM Comic Con event. The filming and photography permit you obtained was correctly applied for. However, the safety and security of every visitor to our venue is and always will be our utmost priority. All our events are constantly monitored, and on this occasion, it was decided on the grounds of safety that filming and photography outside of the event fence needed to be revised. We appreciate the frustration this has caused, but as per the consented terms and conditions of the permit, Excel reserves the right to revoke any permit at any time for any reason. Following this event, we have now begun an internal review on the matter and any areas that need to be addressed going forward for future MCM Comic Con events. Thanks for your understanding on this matter. Now, that doesn't really say a lot. It just, anyone can say we revoked it for safety without actually saying what the safety concerns were. And we'll never know, frankly. Every photographer I spoke to got exactly the same email, word for word, copy-pasted. Tom did, at least 10 other Togs that I spoke to. And so to me, that just says it's not worth applying for a permit in the future because we can just revoke it any time, and we'll just use some copy and paste blanket excuse.
There'll be another clause within the terms and conditions that they'll revoke it, and it's just not worth it.
Exactly. And the bit at the bottom that says we've now begun an internal review on the matter, blah, blah, blah. And anything that needs to be addressed going forward for MCM Comic Con. Does this mean they're going to issue or approve less permits? Does it mean it's going to be a race for Togs to submit? Does it mean they're not going to approve any permits at all? We don't know.
What we're saying is the example of how the weekend went is a load of us applied for permits. So even if we do apply for permits for future use at the XL for any event, it's not just MCM, but MegaCon in January or any other event.
I mean, I heard
having revoked on the days that we're there without any.
I heard various rumors going around at the weekend. Someone set up a smoke one on a Thursday, and that's why they'd done it. There was an unscrupulous tog around an area. That's why they did it. I actually spoke to another event organizer on the Monday when I got back, who I'm going to remain nameless. I'm not going to name them or the event that they work for. But they run large scale events, and have dealt with Excel before. And they advise that the issue was down to somebody setting off a smoke grenade on either the Thursday or the Friday in the car park. That was the official word that they were given from Excel security. Not sure whether that's true or not. Again, neither are they. They can only go on what they've been told. I don't know whether anybody did or did not set off a smoke bomb in the car park. If they did, if somebody has done that, unless they were specifically authorized to do so in their permit, which I've heard rumors saying that they were authorized to do so. I find that very hard to believe that Excel would approve.
Hard to believe.
But if somebody has, I'm not sure we can hear, I've got fireworks going from the background.
Yeah, I've got fireworks.
Yeah.
Well,
rather annoying, bearing in mind it is the 8th of November. Hey, but yeah, if someone has done that, then I don't blame Excel for revoking permits on that basis. And if that is the case, then frankly, one person could have ruined it for all the photographers. Maybe it was a case of they just issued too many permits and there was poor communication about the event, and so they decided to revoke. Or maybe it was that someone was an idiot, did something they shouldn't do, and ruined it for everybody. The latter is kind of what I'm getting information on from different sources. If that is the case, then we can't really blame them.
Especially when it comes around to smoke as well. I mean, if it's a smoke machine...
Well, to people that don't know, smoke equals fire. It's simple.
Simple, yeah. Especially in an urban environment, built up areas like that. Especially in a if you're doing it in a car park confined space.
Especially when you consider that there's a lot of construction work going on in the car park.
Yeah.
The chances of fire is more possible. So if someone sees smoke, they will instantly think it's related to that, and it's a big concern. So
when you've got hundreds of thousands of people at a venue above you, and the alarms go off, you've got to then...
I will say, though, we went in and out of the car park quite a few times on the Friday, and I didn't see any smoke like that would spread throughout the car park quite
it's
viciously. So I don't know. I just don't know whether that's true or not.
It'd be, I don't think we'll ever figure it out. I think
no, we won't ever
if there's a
find.
machine or if it's pyro smoke, or there's a very distinct smell to it. And you'd be able to smell that, especially in a confined area.
Yeah.
If it was outside area, because also you're on a flight path to City Airport as well, that acts as a security risk.
Exactly. So even if the smoke was set up outside, you've still got that additional risk. So, I would have liked.
We'll never know, but it's a silly idea to do anything to do with smoke in a built area or something like that isn't controlled or regulated.
I would have liked some more information from XL Estates to give a rough idea of why they were cancelled. I think that would certainly have appeased a lot more photographers, because I'm sure the majority of photographers, if they were told, unfortunately, there was an incident where blah, 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 and we'd all go, oh, okay, fair enough. We understand why he did it, maybe apart from the person that did it. But to just send a blanket email going, it was revoked for safety concerns, it doesn't give us anything, and it kind of makes us question their morals and why they did it and all the rest of it.
It also makes you question, like, if that's legitimately the reason why.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you're going to be guessing, and it's going to be going like, well, is it not? Because we've had, and we always hear stuff that happens all the time. We never know if it's true or if it's false or hearsay or whatnot. So if there was a little bit more sort of communication and that honesty points where they say, look, okay, yeah, we will revoke the permits due to X, Y, Z. Even it doesn't even have to be like a full-on description. It just has to be like someone was silly on a Thursday, did something that they shouldn't have, which unfortunately meant we've had to revoke all this. It's gone against our terms and conditions. It's being dealt with, but due to the numbers, we now need to revoke. Do you know what? Half of us probably would have gone, oh, okay, we understand, that's not a problem, and change it about and do something different.
Exactly. And I think to add to that as well, bearing in mind this decision was taken on the Friday, within the hours that the media office were open, just a blanket email going out to everyone saying, fortunately, your permit has been revoked due to blanket issue, blah, blah, blah. Further information will be sent in due course. We would all know officially there and then, permit's been revoked, done. Okay. We can't do what we wanted to do. Not just like little hearsays from one security guard, another security guard, etc.
Everyone's on the same page then, and you all know where you stand.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just some sort of official, formal communication. Like I say, just going back to the other element that we spoke on before, I do get that the whole permit thing is a luxury anyway. None of us have a right to it. However, whilst we don't have a right to shoot, we don't have a right to a permit. It's disappointing that when they're granted, they then get taken away with very poor communication.
Yeah.
So I think that's the last we'll say on that aspect, apart from, again, turning it into a positive. It did force, I think it was both, Tom, to rethink how we handle the weekend. I think if we hadn't have had that issue, we probably would have shot more, which meant we would have missed out on more stuff. We may have even missed out on the picnic, and that would have been an absolute tragedy.
Yeah, no, we can't miss out on the picnic.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I think just one last point for this, the whole thing is like, I think it allowed not just us, I think it allowed quite a few people to kind of reevaluate it and go, okay, how am I going to, I've been saying for time and time again, I'm going to change my outlook on Con, I'm going to do something different. And me and Darren had a conversation before we went to MCM, and I said, I've been a little bit different about MCM this time around. I feel like I want it to be a bit more chill. I don't want to be manic and crazy. And I think in some ways it forced our hand to actually take that step that we had already been thinking about and talking about, because I know for myself, my backlog from this year, because like we said earlier, there's so much more going on in the calendar year for conventions. My backlog's massive. So to come to MCM, which is one of the biggest ones that used to be one of my biggest ones to shoot at, would have just filled up my backlog even more. So I was like, actually, you know what? it was nice to just chill. I didn't feel when I came home on the Monday. I didn't feel drained. I felt drained. I didn't feel completely exhausted and run down and going, oh crap! Now I've got 2,000 photos I need to go through from 3 days worth of shooting. But
same.
It forced us to do something different and experience the con in a different way, and it actually meant that we enjoyed it in a different light, and we got to do different things, and we got to chat, and we got to have fun, how to wander around and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think the same. I mean, before this year, I've never really had a backlog in photos. I'm normally like clear or thereabouts clear before I go into each event. This year, I've done so many events. Some events I've shot a huge amount at. When I did Bolter in May, I shot a huge amount of content over the 3 days. It was unreal. And that and other things have given me a backlog. I've just managed to clear, I think, MegaCon Manchester. So that was like July, and we're now in November.
I've still got
a few shoots and events to clear. And so even though like the last few MCMs I've done, I've shot a lot less. I would still normally probably shoot between 12 and 15 shoots. This time, obviously, I think I did probably like 5, 6, even with a couple of bits I shot in the trees. And so I didn't really add to my backlog. Generally, apart from probably 3 or 4 of those, I think 4 of those were main shoots. The majority of shoots were a lot shorter, so I added to my backlog a lot less. So there were definitely some positives. It's very easy to say every event, I'm going to do it differently, I'm going to do less.
You fit into
then
that
slip
routine
into that same routine, and you're like a robot. You're like bang, 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 bang. But this kind of like forced the hand, and it was nice in that.
Yeah. I think we've said a lot from a photography point of view.
I'm just going to say that.
They're going, oh, there's a lot of photography bits here. Going, I think we should get a bit more of a take from Lolly's point of view, because otherwise the two of us are just going to talk Tog the whole way through. So,
well, at least they'll have something nice to look at.
Exactly.
Instead of looking horribly like an hour and a half or whatever.
Oh, bless you. No, go easier on yourself. Bless you.
So yeah, if we were to say to you, not just MCM, but just in general about the sort of mainstream events, if like we were to say, what would you like to see changed or added to an event? What would be top of the list?
Oh, blimey, that's a question.
It is.
I've still got more to add to what you've previously said, but answering that question first. Oh God, that is a question. I'm going to be completely honest. I really don't know. It would just be, I think, for me and for other cosplayers and the experience that we've had with everything, it would just be communication and the clarity of things. What you can and what you cannot do. My group and I, we don't usually do the Friday, so we weren't aware of anything that was happening on Fridays and different things. We are just there for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I think for us, speaking on behalf of my group and I, it would just be the clarity of situations. The end of the Saturday night, for example, the 3 of us were walking back along the side of the water outside back towards Comic Con, and where it had all been cordoned off, and we bumped into a photographer friend of ours, Mo, who's absolutely lovely, and I think had only just started doing MCM EGX. I want to say in May. I think his first lot was May. And we just stopped for a chat. We'd seen him earlier in the day, and then we saw him later on. And it was just sort of like a quick catch up of, how's your day been? Oh, have you found it crazy as well? Yeah, it's been absolutely manic. And then all of a sudden we were approached by a security guard who was just sort of like, I guess, doing the rounds, walking. And he was just sort of like, it's like, mate, I'm going to have to ask you to, you can't take photographs here. He literally, he did not have his camera up. We were not posing. We were just having a chat, checking how each other were, making sure each other were okay, seeing how the day had been. He had his camera down to his side.
And of course, it's night as well. Then, like, surely if he was shooting, you'd expecting to have some lights and all the rest of it shone on your face. And maybe like security. I think maybe communication between the security team as well. I think could be improved.
Yeah, definitely.
I know we had to queue on Friday for our creator passes. That's the first time I've ever had to queue for creator pass, and apparently
I saw your video.
It turned out to be down to someone putting a load of people in the wrong queue, including accessibility people. So you ended up with a load of people queuing for the accessibility desk in the same queue as creator and press and industry, and it just caused a massive backlog. I think it took us about 45 minutes to queue to get in, something like that.
5 minutes, but I think we were quite later in the day as well. We got in there about 11. I think it was the queue for it. This was my first time as a creator going in, and even in the past when I've gone through as priority into the main event, I've never had to queue before. I've just walked in, got my ticket, and walked straight into the venue. Never had an issue, unless I got there really ridiculously early. The doors aren't open yet, but
same.
I've never had to queue realistically.
I've never really done the Friday. I mean, I say I do the Friday. Normally get there about 2:30, rock up, walk straight in, get my creator pass, walk out, take my stuff to the apartment or hotel wherever I'm staying nearby, and then stroll back to the event. This was the first time I've done a full Friday, but even then, we still didn't go to queue to get in.
It was nuts from the moment it opened. It was nuts from the moment it opened to late in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I hear.
It was crazy on that Friday. I think it wasn't so bad on the Saturday, but I feel like they were trying to do a lot more, trying to marshal people through the west entrance a little bit more. We noticed that definitely on the Saturday when they were putting everyone in general into the upper area and just herding everyone in there. And it's like normally you would just herd them straight down into the long walk.
And I noticed I think it was the Sunday as well when they closed. I think we just finished shooting on the Samsung stand with Terry. Yeah. And we sort of gone just past closing. And they were herding everyone out
through one door.
And it was past the times that anyone could come in. And yet there was still funneling people, the full width of the main stretch in between the halls, all the way down, and then funneling people right over to the right to go through one main double door. And it just seemed a bit chaotic. We'll start to move back towards, I know Lolly said she'd got some comments to say on our previous discussion, so we'll come back round to those comments, I think, in a moment. So,
cool.
Let's go. So, we're back after a little glitch.
In the Matrix.
But so I think this would be a good time. I think Lolly said you got some comments about our previous discussion. So let's come around to those before we move on any further.
Cool. And I hate to linger on a negative, but I do feel that it's worth sort of saying about. I know that you mentioned earlier that, and I completely agree, it is wonderful that, the XL are obviously looking towards, whether it's cosplayers or photographers and, making sure that they are doing things to stay safe, but it also falls on them as well and who they hire, i.e. security wise. They need to be doing sort of an internal thing to look at security.
Yeah.
We did experience some issues. We have got recorded evidence of some issues. I believe it is actually the security guards that you mentioned earlier, Darren, that you may have had photos with.
Yeah.
That we had issues with. We do, as a group of, I think 5 of us, we were targeted by security just to sort of give a bit of perspective, our group was made up of 2 males, 3 females, and security approached certain females of the group, and again, I will not name names, had sort of approached them with comments that were unnecessary and were potentially breaching their job role. Again, we have evidence of this, and the 2 gentlemen in our group were also asked if us 3 women were with them. So there was a bit of a clear indication to us that they were specifically targeting to see if we were alone and not with others. A friend of mine who I've recently sort of become a lot closer to, bless her, had an awful experience. I saw her coming around the corner and she was in absolute tears. She'd walked from the car park herself, us thinking that it was completely fine, we're safe, we're okay. She'd gone inside to purchase an item and then came back down, had ended up walking with 2 other strangers because she didn't feel safe enough to do so on her own, because she was approached by said security members who were making comments, and even though she felt uncomfortable, they were then pursuing her. It was quite an event that has never, ever happened before. And again, just to clarify, is not EGX, is not MCM.
No.
This has been from XL.
So
the point I'm making is that, okay, yes, they can look externally to sorting things, but they also need to look at themselves. They need to look internally as well as to how they can improve.
I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on the negative, like you say, but
no.
I did also hear a few reports from people. I didn't witness anything firsthand, like yourself. But that is disappointing when we get reports to say they've revoked permits or whatever because of safety. And the line that we were given was it's easier to make sure people are safe inside and make sure, take care of any unscrupulous people if they're within the event barriers. And yet some of their own security guards were not necessarily operating within those lines themselves. That's very disappointing. Certainly something worth putting across to XL. And I would probably say MCM as well, because I'm sure MCM would not be happy with that kind of behavior.
I agree. I think in some ways, as much as we're saying it's not EGX, or we say EGX, MCM, let's just say the whole Republic run both things. As much as we know it's not them, but because they are associated with the XL for these events, and there can be the confusion about which way it is, because you see it's their brand, it's their name. That's at these events. People automatically think it's MCM and EGX. They obviously still need to take some accountability for it because it is still their event. They still need to be, it's their brand. They still need to be doing something as well. So even if they're having conversations with XL from a business point of view to say, hey, look, we've heard these complaints, we've heard these stories. What are you going to do to make sure that our guests coming to our events are safe and not feeling victimized by security? Because we're talking about security in this instance. It's not just security. There are obviously weirdos out there in the general public.
I mean, it is worth noting at this point, I did see security dealing with people. I even saw the police dealing with people on a couple of occasions during the weekend. So, they are there doing a job in that sense.
But to go back to what Lolly's saying is that is, in my opinion, is out of order because
it's overstepping their boundaries.
They're there for a reason. They're there to do a job, and to make something that way is not acceptable.
They are the people that, as an event goer, you feel that you should be able to turn to in the event of an issue or a concern. If they themselves are giving you an issue or a concern, who can you turn to, or who do you feel you can turn to? It puts you in a difficult situation.
I say it could be a handful of them that are doing it, and it might.
Or
It's
even
not going to
just
be
one or two. You know,
Yeah,
I
that
think
gives a name to the rest of security. So that if someone's had one bad experience with one or two people from the event, it's going to make it very harder for them to go to another security person and go and feel comfortable to approach them because
precisely.
of the experience.
Yeah.
Precisely. I mean, my general view is that, you know, with all the issues that happened over the weekend, I was taking the view that if someone approached me and said, you can't do this, I'll be polite because they are only there doing a job. They're there to earn a crust. They're just doing as they are ordered to do so in terms of what's allowed, what isn't allowed. However, you know, I myself did have an issue with one security guard during the weekend. I think, was it Saturday? I think it was, wasn't it?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, we were sort of between the west entrance and the outside area. We were tucked right the way towards the barriers, waiting for someone to come to us for an interview. I was on the phone. I had my phone in one hand, I had a drink in the other, and I had my big roller case, my small roller case with me. And this security guard came up, bold as brass, telling people, move on, you can't stand there, can't stay there. Quite abrupt in his manner. And he said to me, I said, well, can you just bear with me, mate, because I've got no hands at the moment. Oh, well, you can get your mate here to do it, can't you? Like, really rude and abrupt. And
it was really sort of in your face about it.
At that point, he'd press that wrong button. So normally I would just be polite to people, have a conversation with them, do as I'm asked to do. But he pressed that wrong button. I was on the phone. And I was actually on the phone to the person I was waiting to. So I just said, can you just hang on a second? I said, excuse me, mate. Well, I found that quite rude. Literally just like that. I wasn't harsh with him. I didn't swear. And it just starts going off on one. No, I wasn't rude. I was just blah, blah. And he's getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the point where I said, look, you were rude. I was in the middle of something. I was stood out the way. I literally said, bear with me a minute or two and I will comply with what you're asking people to do. And I said, you were abrupt. You were rude. And I don't appreciate that. And he's like, no, I wasn't rude. I've got my body cam on, blah, blah, blah. And he's getting more and more aggressive and closer to me. So at this point, I just sort of stood to him and said, look, what's your name? What's your badge number? And I'll report you to your boss. I don't have a boss. I said, I spoke with the head of security yesterday. He's the head of security. Your badge says you're a manager. That says you're below him. So therefore, you have a boss. Oh, he's not my boss. I said, well, look, I don't care who your boss is. I said, can I have some details? Because I'm going to report you. Oh, I can give you a number to phone. I said, I don't want a number to phone. I said, I know who to report you to. And he was just getting more and more like arrogant and aggressive and closer and closer. I mean, I generally don't respond to that sort of behavior. And when I do, it's not in a scared or standoffish sort of way. I tend to retaliate back when my buttons are pushed.
Yeah.
But I decided to be the bigger person, say, look, I was prepared to take what you said, let it go and walk away. But you've continued to get in my face. And even when I tried to do that, he was chuntering to himself and chuntering to me. Even when I was trying to walk away, trying to be antagonistic. And it was just like, I'm not fucking having this. No. So in the end, I did say, look, literally turned around and just said, look, get out of my fucking face. You are being rude.
Yeah.
I disagree with your behaviour and I will be reporting you to your fucking boss. Exactly like that. And I just walked off because I thought if it goes any further, I'm going to end up getting thrown out. Generally speaking, all the security I spoke to throughout the weekend were really, really nice and polite. They were just doing a job. I had some great banter with some of them. But it just takes that odd one or two bad apples and then people start to think, who can I trust? The problem is, this is starting to become a bit of a familiar discussion. Every single MCM, I'm here, MCM London.
Should we rephrase it then? Should we rephrase it because I'm going to say more so every time there's a event at XL.
A main cosplay event. Yeah.
Main event.
Because it was the same at MegaCon back in January. And again, the issues there, none of those were related to MegaCon. They did cop some flack for it, even from me, and I'll admit I was wrong to do so at the time. I've even had that conversation with MegaCon because the issue was down to Excel yet again.
It's a recurring pattern. No one
issues with security, and the consistency with the Excel security is like polar opposites. It's you'll get one say one thing, one say something completely different, and it's like, well, which is it? All we can do really, and the same as we said to you, Lolly, any issues that you have, you are better off reporting them to the event themselves. People have been saying, oh, MCM haven't done anything. There's probably only a certain amount that they can do. I know certainly MegaCon took a lot on board about what people said and are addressing. Yeah. And I've heard from contacts within MCM that they try and do whatever they can. But it's probably hard for them as well because quite simply, they don't control the Excel staff. But if they don't know about the issues, then they can't do anything at all.
I think one of the things I really did like back in January with MegaCon, when there was all them issues, within under a week, they came back on their socials and they put out a statement. And you know what? That was the first time I've seen an event or event organizers come out and basically say, we've heard what you've had to say. We apologize for the actions, even if it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
They've come out, they put a statement out. And do you know what? That really reassured me that they were actually listening.
Yeah. I mean, MCM haven't done this. I don't know how many people actually have approached MCM about this issue. I know I personally didn't. Perhaps I should have done. But I just felt that it was just so far away from being MCM's fault. It's the same back with MegaCon, but we didn't realize it then. It's so far away from the event organizer's fault that I felt, well, what could they actually do? But in hindsight, maybe I should. I know one or two other photographers did, and I know MCM are aware of the issues. And I was given some information on the Monday after the event from somebody, again, another event organizer, the same event organizer I was speaking about before. They spoke to MCM over the weekend, and MCM apparently were told by Excel that they were sorting and resolving the issue, but that never happened.
All I can really say is I know I've received one. I know after con you always get the email from MCM, review, or did you find the experience?
I've had one.
All I can really say in this instance is anyone who was listening who has had concerns, issues, put it in on that review. Because they're asking for that feedback.
It's worth saying I've also had a survey from Excel as well, and that's going to be an interesting one. I haven't filled that in yet because I want to do it in a professional and diplomatic manner to give them feedback they can actually use. I don't just want to go because as soon as you start sounding off at people, they just shut off. The best way to get a situation resolved and to get people to listen is to be professional, pragmatic, and give facts and proper information. So I didn't want to just become a keyboard warrior and start typing my aggression on the Excel survey, and the same with the MCM one, but I will fill them both in. And hopefully something will change in the future.
To go from a different note, to change it away from sort of the negativity that we have gone on for a little bit. Unless you have any more points there, Lolly, before we move on, or is it just that one that you kind of had, or?
No, that was the only one, but also as sort of maybe I don't know, maybe to inspire people or to just give people the confidence is to just say sort of like, if there's ever anything, whether it's with an event, cosplay or not, or just you yourself or a group, be brave, speak up about it, say something to somebody. We are here to listen and don't feel that you have to be sort of quiet and down or anything like that. Just speak up. You deserve to speak up. So that's just the lasting message I wanted to give.
Yeah, I mean, and also it is worth saying and reiterating, as we've gone back to, that the event itself, despite its issues, I don't know about you, Tom, but I still had a great event. I changed my way of thinking. It forced us to think outside the box. I did have some great shoots, albeit less than normal. But some of the stuff I did with Terry on the Samsung stand,
it's amazing.
Like stuff that I would never, ever create normally, unless I'm forced to really think outside the box. I'm just loading my Lightroom now, and I'm going to see if it's possible to actually share my screen to the podcast.
What I wanted to quickly say is because I'd done EGX before COVID, and then I've done MCMs majority of the time because I liked EGX as an event. Being a gamer, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
When I went to it last time, for a while ago.
Hi, Darren. That's right. Talking hard, so just randomly.
I was a bit skeptical with the merger between MCM and EGX because I thought, well, how are they going to do this? Because MCM takes up hold of that venue. So I feel like they hadn't really, if anything, MCM lost space in the venue for EGX. But I tell you what, walking around the EGX side of things, it felt more comfortable. It felt more thought out. It felt more organized in a sense that you felt like you could walk around and you didn't feel like you were crowded and bombarded with everyone in front of you. And then you go to the MCM and it just felt chaos and everything everywhere. And I just was like, MCM, you need to take a check from EGX at this point, because I feel like EGX has got this sorted, because we were wandering on the EGX side and it was like, actually, this feels quite cool. It feels quite nice. It was very open still, but it still had a good feel. And you go to the MCM side and it was just rammed. And you're just like, okay, we can see the difference between the two sides. Because when we got there and then the Friday we were walking around and we were like, well, how are we going to know what's EGX and what's MCM? And then we looked around and went, it's clearly obvious which one's EGX and which one was MCM. So, but I did like the fact that it did change up the dynamic of MCM a little bit. From a con perspective, you weren't getting, a load of, I mean, I'm bad for it. I like pops. Shoot me, I like them, but I have specific ones. I mean, I got a new one yesterday, but hey, doesn't matter. Anyhow, I'm also kind of glad that I wasn't seeing the same repetitive stands. I mean, there were some, but obviously it was fewer of them, and it was nice not to just see pop stand after pop stand after pop stand after pop stand, and actually seeing other bits and pieces. It would be nice to see a bit more love put into Artist Alley and some of the vendors that come in that aren't corporate vendors, and have a bit more love for that area. It just felt like we said that, made a little bit of a joke. It felt like a bit like a car boot flea market sort of style looking like thing, and that's not anything against the Artist Alley, because stuff is fantastic. The people work really hard at creating some really cool stuff for people within this fandom. But I just felt like there could be a bit more love for that section. Yeah, definitely. I mean, certainly goes like from what I've heard about EGX events in the past, where they're generally a lot quieter. That side of the hall was definitely the quieter one. There were still times that it was relatively busy, but like you say, I could still walk around quite freely. The shoots that we did with Terry, although there were people there, we were able to do a full-on shoot with the Samsung stand. And kind of like not have too much issue. I'm just going to try sharing my screen now and see if this works. Look, this is a first. I've not done this before. You should do.
Woo!
Because I know I'm on producer, right?
So,
there we go.
I'm not shared this to social media yet.
So she shares it. There you go, folks.
Let me put that back on.
If you enjoyed, that's all this hard work.
It's loading. It's loading.
As long as it's not like
What's going on there? What is going on there? I don't know.
Really quickly while it's loading, I completely agree with you, Tom. Just sort of like seeing new things out and about that I've never seen before. It was brilliant. Oh my god, that's amazing.
So yeah, that was one of the shots we did in the hall with Terry on the Sunday. We were invited back by the Samsung team, and then there's another one which I'm really proud of.
So my Lightroom doesn't crash my system.
Which is that one?
Oh, that is awesome.
Yet, so these are a bit of a treat for anyone watching. Because I was asked by one of the Samsung media guys to send them over, as they may be interested in like a collab or something with Samsung or maybe even Sega. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Fingers crossed I do. If not, I'll just post them. But yeah, I don't normally do composite images. But I just felt with those it was kind of worth it.
Amazing.
Yeah. You know, say you can't do anything creatively with all the people around. You can. I mean, we've got.
I kind of feel like he's just outdone
Yeah, you
it.
can.
Hang on, I did share mine now. If he's going to start sharing his,
Well, I've got nothing to share. Oh god.
No. Well, let's not. All right. So some of you wouldn't know. Me and Darren spent pretty much the weekend skipping around cotton together. So we were basically doing the same shoots essentially. So I haven't done as many edits of this as Darren has, because I was saying these are stuff that hasn't been seen so far yet. I need to find the share bit myself. Share. Jesus, where is it? Let me actually put it on the screen. That's actually going to show you.
We are waiting in anticipation.
So yeah, I'm so used to Teams being a certain way where I can share certain things.
I feel like there should be a drum roll or something.
I'll let him share. So it's very widespread.
Oh wow!
So obviously Darren's already seen this one, so I said over to him to have a look at it because of what we were saying, because it was working with the Samsung guys.
Yeah,
it's a very different thing. I've never done anything like this before, so this was a right treat for myself to do. And obviously at the bottom you can see some of the other stuff that I've been doing from other MCM events. But you know, this was very different. It was very fun, very different style of shooting. But like I said, this was an opportunity.
And I think as well, I mean, I did some of Terry from the same angle, but on the Sunday with John Wick. And I feel looking at yours, I did do one. I have edited one of mine from this particular one as well, but I think it really suits the character, potentially more than the John Wick one from this angle, with all the sort of glowing by, the neon lights.
Yeah, especially with the backdrop that the Samsung guys had there as well.
Yeah.
Really, that cyberpunk
Definitely.
feel. I mean, anyone that's been on socials will also see, I've got to share this one. I absolutely am in love with this one image that we did on the Sunday. It was a beautiful day. We went up and shot on the bridge. I have to share this one.
Yeah.
But this was one of my favorite shots from the weekend, and that was with Troy, with Captain 10. Fantastic shot. It was
amazing.
Really, really a lot of fun. So even though we talked about we didn't shoot as much, we still managed to shoot, but we were doing stuff in a little bit different vibes. But I think this works for the vibe that both me and Darren work in. We like to be very creative, we like to do something very different, which is not saying there's anything wrong for anyone that wants to shoot with the people around in the trees or at the walls. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have our own styles. It's just me personally, I want to do something creative. And that's just me. So I feel like I'm moving away from shooting at MCMs because I want to try and do something different. Maybe it is being a bit spoiled for choice for other things outside of these events. But yeah, it's just bits and pieces. It's like we did, and I have to show one more because now I've got it shared. And then we did this amazing one of Litmus Anakin's.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm just looking through mine actually of Troy and Annie.
So this is one that we did of Annie, and I absolutely love. It's just the whole environment works. You know, October, cloudy weather, and it just worked for that vibe and that feel. So yeah, there's bits and pieces that we could do. there. I did a lot more shooting on the Friday than I did any other days, but yeah. And then I'm just going to be naughty and show one more, which hasn't been shown to the world yet. But yeah, another good one at Troy.
Ooh.
It was just one of them days. It was a really
Oh,
nice guy that
wow.
didn't fit cosplay. It just really worked. So he's seen this, but no one else has. So that is, there's a little sneak preview for something that might potentially come out in the next little bit. But I will
Nice.
stop my sharing.
Yeah,
Darren
I'll share a couple
can
more.
show off all his pro expertise now.
So this one I think has been shared. It has been shared on my Instagram, but again from the bridge with Troy.
There's a
Wow.
little story behind this one, but I'm going to let him finish this bit first.
Then there's a couple that haven't been shared to the world yet from this. One of which is that.
Well, no, this was the very first one that he posted on the Sunday. He was doing it as we were walking off for dinner. Now, he didn't originally shoot that in his first run up. No, did you? No.
Didn't.
So we were
Didn't,
taking turns.
No.
We were taking turns to shoot with Troy
Yeah.
on the Sunday.
Tag team style.
I had this idea, that great pose, as seen on screen right now. Troy down, superhero pose down. I knew about it when he was shooting it the first time around. I thought, do you know what? That would be really good. I'm not going to say anything because I want to get that shot. That's my shot. I want that. We shot it. And then guess what? Sunday evening, he gets that one out. As we're on the way to dinner, I was like, oh, I see. You've got my shot up there. Okay. I see.
I mean, there is a couple more. There was this one which hasn't been sent, and it is worth saying that there were people in the background on the bridge here. I just cloned them out. Simple. And if there's one or two people in the background, that's nice and easy. Same as that one. That didn't have anyone in the background. That one was nice and easy. And then another one worth noting actually is this one I did publish that was shot in the trees on the Saturday.
Is it coffee?
Yeah, Coffee Cat Cosplay. That was shot in the trees, and it's a case of crouching shot, and I just shot from above so that there's no one else in the background. So it is possible. Obviously, there are a lot less people around at that time of day because it was shot around about sort of 5.
It was around sunset. The
5
sun was
PM.
going down. Bit of a dark. It was a bit darker. I think you had 2 lights up. I think for this one.
Yeah, I think I did.
But just flash. It was.
And then
Say pretty simple, but
that was the one I did. It's not quite finished yet of Terry. I just added a bit of a restriction in post. But yeah, it's not quite finished yet. And then what have we got? The ones with Annie. I posted a few of these already.
Yeah, I know. I had to delay my coming out because Darren kept posting Annie.
Some of these just came out. Wow. Some of these haven't been posted yet. But generally,
waited 4 days to get mine out because Annie wanted to put other content up for a bit because Darren kept posting.
But yeah, generally, these worked out really, really well. These are on the Friday, a lot less people around, so it was a lot easier to do. But so I think we proved, as well as massaging our own egos of some of the shots we got at MCM, it more to the point proved that you can still shoot creatively. It's more difficult. You're forced to think outside the box, and you're not going to get the same amount of shoots as you would normally, but it is still possible. Other events, they've got MCM Birmingham coming up end of the month. That's generally a little bit easier. But again, even that depends. I think the last MCM Birmingham was a real curveball because there were a lot of areas we hadn't got access to the atrium, which again, we don't have any right to, but we've been used to it. Even the lake, no one could use the lake in MCM Birmingham last year because they had an outdoor sporting or fishing event or something on. So even that was closed off. So that really forced people to think outside the box. And I think a lot of people ended up shooting down by the
gazebo area.
Later, like the Just gonna
grassier
look
areas.
actually. I think let's have a look where. See if I can scroll back so far to like down by the Skywalk. You know, I think I shot there quite early on the Saturday with it's Chloe Hill, and she was doing a Fifth Element Lilu cosplay, which is one I wanted to shoot for a while. So when I bumped into her, I said, right, we've got to shoot this. Perfect place for it, down by the escalator. And we got some great shots. I'm just going to share this. Share my screen, share a window. Yeah. So this was one of the ones we got, just down by the escalator. And at this time in the morning, there was not really anybody about. Later on that day and then the Sunday, it was just a sea of people. Another one is you just see me randomly scroll through my feed. And this was a video actually of the shoot taking place. So there were just a few people walking by. It wasn't really very busy. But later on in the day, I think the skywalk became out of order, so it wasn't working. So it was a bit more difficult to shoot because I closed it off. And then there was just a mass of people because it was kind of like one of the few places again that people were allowed to shoot. So yeah, it was the first one I posted, which got, was quite well received. But again, normally there are certain areas that I would shoot at MCM Birmingham. We couldn't access those areas, and yeah, I was bummed out to start with, but it forced me to think outside the box. I think when it does that, sometimes it can really force your creativity.
That adds that as well. It's like, yeah, it forces you outside that box, but I think there's going to be a mental capacity to it as well. Like, we definitely had a negative point of view on the weekend when we were there on the Saturday. I think trying to battle through that negative point of view to then go, right, okay, it can't quite.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hard sometimes to then get that inspiration to then go, oh, do you know what, what can I do?
Yeah.
So torn the negative on yourself, and then it's like sometimes, I know for myself, is like I felt quite bad because I wanted to shoot so many people, but then I felt like I was letting them down because I just didn't want to do the same generic shots that they've been doing all day with potentially with other people. So I was like, do you know what? We can do this outside a con, or we can go and we can do it at a photo con if you're going, sort of thing. But it definitely allowed me to arrange more bits and pieces from a social aspect.
Yeah, definitely. So, Lolly, do you have anything else to add about your weekend at MCM?
Oh my gosh. Not to that. It was fun. It was different, lots of different experiences. We my group and I spotted a YouTuber that we just so happened to watch, which was phenomenal. Stopped for a really nice chat, which was amazing. Really down to earth, just a fantastic chat. It was lovely. Overall, I will say it was a positive experience. And I choose to look at the positives. So it was more positive than negative. Yeah. We have made a decision as a group that perhaps we won't do as many Comic Cons at the moment going forward, simply because of it, sort of like recent experiences, but we will be doing secret cons. And the one highlight for me was the picnic. So
Not forget the picnic. Just thought, hang on, if we're moving on, we need to talk about the picnic.
Oh yes.
I think also worth saying, I think a lot of people I've spoken to have said that they may be doing less, not just MCMs less next year, but less mainstream cons. I think people are wanting to branch out a little bit more into some of the other events. I know I myself am wanting to do more overseas events next year. More European events. There's a lot of European photo cons and normal cons. There's Dokumi in Germany, which is a really cool German sort of cosplay event. Then there's other events that I want to do. I can't do Volta next year because I'll be on a cruise in Norway.
Ooh,
So
nice.
sad but happy. But there's a couple of other events I want to do next year. So I would love to do Pixelmania in Poland at some point. It's another photo con.
I know there was about Dragon Con over in the States in Atlanta.
I would love to do Dragon Con in the States. Obviously, everything in the States is a little bit up in the air now, the last few days. We won't touch on the political side of that. But yeah, I would love to do Dragon Con. I'd have to look at the financials, whether I can do it next year or whether it has to be 2026.
I think I'm going to try for 2026 if I can, because I know we've been
talking.
A
lot of people are trying to go. A lot of people that I know are trying to go next year, and it will be great to go as a big group. But yeah, I'll just have to see whether I can afford it. Next year may end up having to be just European events and UK events. Even, doing some of the European events may mean I've got to put back on some of the big mainstream events. It is worth saying, though, that doing some of the European events is the same price as doing a weekend at one of the UK events. I mean,
get a nice little holiday out of it, and also
MCM London has become insanely expensive. And again, this is not down to MCM. Their ticket prices have remained largely the same over the last couple of years. But the hotel prices, because of the amount of equipment I carry and the sort of social aspect that I like to do throughout the weekend, I like to stay within sort of walking distance of the event. And to do that is insane. I mean, this time I stayed in an apartment. Normally I just get a hotel. This time I stayed in an apartment with a few people. I think there was 6 of us sharing. We found a reasonable price apartment, which I think worked out at like a couple £100 each. That cancelled within a week, less than a week's notice. We found another one, or the main person that was booking found another one, booked that. They cancelled the same day because they said, "Oh, sorry, we've done booked." On another system, he then found another one, but all the time he's still waiting for the refunds from the previous 2 apartments. So it became incredibly expensive for my friend who was booking the apartment for all of us. And I think even then, the apartment, it was a really nice place overlooking the city and everything else. But it was like $2,000 for like Thursday to Monday morning. And when you're splitting it between 6, that's not too bad. But I think I looked at some of the other hotels in the area, even some of the smaller ones, and it was like between £800 and £1,000 from like Friday to Monday.
Yeah, sometimes I like I'm the same as you. If I go and stay at a hotel, I try and stay within the proximity of the area.
Yeah.
And I've stayed at the Aloft quite a few times, and over the years it's got more and more expensive to the point that I actually now don't stay at the Aloft because it can be anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000. Let's just say that bracket. I stayed at the Good Hotel a few times. I stayed at the Good Hotel in more recent times, and that's been quite reasonable. But even that's gone like £700-800 now for a weekend. It can almost be like £300 to £600 a night or something like that sometimes.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like how
expensive. And yet, there's an apartment that I've started using around the area of the XL, overlooking it. In fact, just a 1-bedroom apartment. I stayed there a few weeks ago, 2 weeks before MCM London, for a Spores production shoot I was doing. And I stayed from Friday to Sunday, and it cost me £200 for a weekend.
Oh.
I'm staying there again next weekend because I'm down in London Friday to Sunday for the Arcane event down in London. And again, £200. And
like you go into that, Ollie,
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm going to that.
I'm I'm just excited that Darren's coming down close to me, and you're into arcade.
But yeah, like if you try and get accommodation, you wouldn't even get accommodation for one night for £200 on MCM weekend. And, you know, it's just unfair that these accommodation places are like hiking up their prices just because it's, you know, it's almost like the Ticketmaster fiasco. But hey, so I think we're coming towards the end of our main category.
Towards the picnic.
It's just the picnic. I feel like we need to talk. Before we get on to the next segment, which people are secret segment.
Okay. So, picnic. Let's talk about the picnic.
This is the picnic section of the
picnic.
Roundup.
Wow. I mean, what can we say about that?
Well, I feel like Lolly needs to be the one to talk about it here. It's her genius.
Just to sort of like just outline anything. Cooking, baking is my therapy. I absolutely love it. I love providing for people. I love just giving fun experiences to people through food. And my group and I have been talking about it for a while. Sort of like, should we do a picnic? Just in general, we, you know, as a friendship group, we get together for barbecues around one of our friends' house, and we just thought, sod it, this year should we just do a picnic? And it was like, oh yeah, let's go for it. And in our traditional fashion, just like our barbecues, nothing is ever simple. There's never just one thing that we provide. It is the full hog. We go out and out, and I decided this picnic should be no different. Now, I will be completely honest. Initially, we just thought this picnic was just going to be the three of us. We weren't expecting people to join us. We weren't expecting to, you know, to have such an amazing time. But do you know what? I am so happy that we did. I made way too much.
when you mentioned this picnic to us during the interview, and then invited us along, we were like, yeah, we've got to do this. And then when we were a little bit delayed in getting there, we thought, I really hope we haven't missed it. We were really looking forward to it. And we got there and you'd got everything set out. We were just like, you know, I'm going to share a little something.
Oh God.
I
haven't seen this yet.
I feel like we missed.
So there is there is the team.
Amazing.
Later, a couple of more people turned up as well. Garrett, big for photos, and a couple of more people turned up. And it was probably the highlight of the event. I can honestly say I've never had a picnic in an underground park before, so that was definitely a first.
And it's probably like well-stocked picnic I've ever been to in my life.
Really?
It was quite funny.
It was amazing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, any time, honestly. But it was quite funny talking about it as a group before we did it. It was just sort of like, right, Lolly, you're in charge of sandwiches, and I was just sort of like, sandwiches are not my forte. It's like I have a massive sweet tooth. It's like savory. It's not me. Not me at all. I am a sweet tooth person. You give me sugar any day and I am there. So it was just sort of like, right, you do sandwiches. And it was like, shit. Sorry, Mum. It was like, oh, shit. Okay. It was like, right. Okay, so, you know, thinking about it, it's like, you know, picnic is a very British thing. Do some very traditional British sandwiches. And then I thought, no, was like, that's not my standard. I go all out for Christmas. I go all out for birthdays. Fuck it, I'm going all out for picnic. So
if you're
I
gonna
did end up
Right.
exactly. I did end up researching. I think it was 5 different sandwiches, like fancifying sandwiches. Unfortunately, I was only able to do 4. I ran out of time in the kitchen the day before. Friday, my day was literally just in the kitchen from literally as soon as I woke up to when I needed a break. It was gone 12. And I just thought, it's like, no, we're not doing your traditional just sort of like cheese sandwich or whatever. It's like, no, that doesn't fly with me. So we did end up having a really nice, which I found really funny. I did Google a 3 cheese sandwich, but it then gave me a 2 cheese. So it lied to me, but I still called it a 3 cheese.
Fair enough.
Liars 3 cheese sandwich.
Well, if you Google 3 cheese and it gave you 2 cheese, and just go with what you put into Google standard. That's
exactly.
You're okay with that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. It was only 2 cheeses, but it's a 3 cheese sandwich. We had a beef sandwich, we had a fancy ham sandwich, and we had a coronation chicken, which I have never, ever made before. And I thought, I'm making it all from scratch, and sod it, we're going for it.
Yeah.
So put all of that together. It was absolutely wonderful to learn those experiences, to learn those recipes, which was really funny, testing it on sort of like family. It was just sort of like, those are really good sandwiches. It's like, I'm going to be making those again. Okay. But of course, I also couldn't just do savory, as I have a massive sweet tooth. I did have to make brownie, salted caramel brownie as well.
Which one?
But thank you. But what absolutely amazed me was one of my friends as part of my group, Wookie, doesn't mind being mentioned, the fact that he had an entire bag of different sauces to offer people, that he had the drinks, any kind of drink that you wanted, and that he also had sausage rolls, and there was a cinnamon roll, which I didn't learn until later, which I was absolutely taken up with. And it was phenomenal. And I thought, do you know what? For the 3 of us, this is, one, it's too much, which is our standard anyway for barbecues and whatever. But I like sharing with people. I like having people get together, just impromptu things, and just going for it. So when we talked during the podcast that you were doing, when we talked to people throughout the day, it was just sort of like, come and join us, really come and join us. And the part of it, like the moment I had at home was just sort of like, hang on a minute, I have a picnic blanket. We could actually sit down on the floor on the picnic blanket with other blankets and just have a picnic in the car park was just phenomenal. So I had to share that with you guys. I have to share with people.
Must admit, when you said to us on the interview, you're like, we're going to have a picnic, come and join us. It's kind of like coming around and like food being in the back of someone's car or something. I mean, walk around that corner and there was literally a picnic blanket, food laid out, like an actual picnic.
Yep.
Like,
I think we were shocked when we walked on the corner.
At the same time, like, it just really warmed my heart. I was like, this is amazing. And yeah, it definitely a first. It will probably stick in my mind for a long, long time as one of the most impressive and enjoyable things I've done at an MCM event. And yeah, thank you.
I think it kind of made our Saturday having such like a down moment.
It made my weekend. Never mind my
weekend. We were just like, it's good. And I think we stopped back. I know me and Steph stopped back round, and I think you did briefly on the Sunday as well. You guys had enough food still to be going on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Remember by and having a really nice chat with you guys and a couple of other girls, and I think I spent most of my time there promoting Secret Con.
I probably did myself.
We've sold it, by the way. We've sold it.
Yeah, they were they were funny. They were funny, but they were brilliant, them 2 girls, because it was very much like, oh, if you're interested in this, come to do this sort of thing. And they're like, oh, what is it? Oh, it's this type of event. And they just spent the next, 10, 15 minutes just planning costume ideas and what could they do for certain things. And we were just like, yeah.
I can confirm that 1, they have been accepted. 2, they have bought tickets, and 3, they are deciding on their costumes and different things.
Sounds
I
like
would
it.
also like to. I would also just like to say that they have become 2 of my most amazing friends to make through a shared interest, and we've become a lot closer through different things, which is lovely.
Although we're talking about Secret Con here, that kind of came about through MCM. And I think that kind of just reiterates what we said about so many people. Hi, Phil. We have
Hello.
joining us.
You're right, darling.
We'll come on to your topic in just a moment. But yeah, I think that's what, just it pulls people together, so many people in like one place. And I don't think that, despite the issues that we've discussed tonight, I don't think there is another event that pulls so many people into one place. And Birmingham in a couple of weeks is very similar. Are you going to Birmingham, Lolly, or?
No, unfortunately not. There's a lot going on, a lot to sort out. My next thing will be Secret Con, which I'm very much looking forward to. Have a multitude of ideas and cosplays planned, that is the next one for me.
Can't wait. Well, we're going to end this general podcast on the sort of topic we're talking about now. So thank you everyone for listening. And thank you very much, Lolly, for being our main guest this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Segment that we're going to do. We've got a couple of people joined. So we've got Phil, Swifty, and we've also got Steph. I'm just going to go and grab our other guest for this evening, and one will conclude our podcast tonight.
So whilst Darren obviously walks off, muttering to himself, obviously, like you said, we've got a little bit of a secret and a little bit of surprise. So yeah, we'll keep it hush for now until the guest of honor arrives.
So we're just talking about general like conventions and some of the things you can do and the people you can see. So we just sort of got a few more people in to chat about it. So obviously, Swifty, as you know.
Oh, I love you.
Phil, Swifty, as you know, Lolly, as you know, and Steph and Tom. So, so we're just like talking about different conventions, different people you can see. Just put that out there. It's covering your face. Everyone wants to see it. We're just like some of the different things you can do. Like some cons are better for like taking photos. Some cons are better for just general pop culture. Some cons are better for guests. I don't know. You met, was it White Davis at Manchester, which is obviously like a massive fan of yours from the whole sort of Harry Potter fandom.
I was doing basically a franchise that I've been into, and it's helped me massively mentally. As pretty sure you guys are well aware, I've lost 4 members of my family in the space of 2 years. It's been really hard. I have basically tried to commit suicide twice. Darren's what we done it. Second time was quite scary because I was close to doing it.
See, I think it's fair to.
I pretty much turned to Harry Potter.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that like Harry Potter as a fandom has really helped you through your life and issues.
Massively mentally because I can switch
and it's been
into this world where nothing really matters.
Yeah. It's been very similar to me with like Cyberpunk and Arcane and things like that. I met Ella Purnell at MCM recently. You know, obviously she voices the character of Jinx, and Arcane it kind of spanned off from the cyberpunk thing, really. So, yeah, she was the voice of Jinx in Arcane, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to see her, because, you know, I've got a real attachment to that series and Jinx as a character and some of the issues that I've gone through myself. And obviously, I know that, you know, as you've said, you're a massive fan of the Harry Potter fandom.
So I also this week.
What's that? Liverpool. Well, with that in mind, I'm going to hand over to Steph.
Why?
Was that why?
Yeah.
So, you know, you put on your stories that you were a bit upset with how expensive it was to go.
Yeah.
So, me, Swifty, Lollipop, and Gareth have given Darren. So you're going to be meeting him this weekend. We felt like you deserved it, and you seemed so upset when you couldn't. So
yeah.
there you go now.
Tomorrow we're heading up to Liverpool. Getting the 1 o'clock. I'm even coming into tears myself. It's 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're getting a train up to Liverpool. I booked a little hotel for us, just a cheap and cheerful place. Just no, it is. No, it's not. It's not a prank. No, it's happening. We're headed up to Liverpool tomorrow. Because people love you, people care about you.
Because we love you.
Exactly.
We love you, darling.
And you know, we want you to realise your dream. So we're headed up to Liverpool tomorrow. Get a hotel, and then Sunday you are going to meet the man himself, Lord Voldemort. So you better dig that cosplay out, because you're going to cosplay this weekend.
We also want you to realise, darling, that you are special to us. You mean a lot to us.
Very much so now.
Okay? You have been absolutely awesome. I am so lucky to have you as a friend. And you have been absolutely amazing through everything. So you deserve this. All right? Love you.
Something from the people around you that care for you.
I didn't realise I had that many people to go.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do that. I will say though, Nat.
She's so
I don't think you understand quite what you do for other people. Exactly. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's more than
that.
It's not just what you do at Secret Con. It's how you deal with people, how you speak to your friends. You're always willing to listen. This is not just me as your partner from 18 years. I've seen, you know, the conversations that you have with Phil when he's been going through some tough times. And I've seen, you know, obviously the whole episode when Tom was arranging his proposal. I was part of that, obviously.
The amount of times that we have to.
Well, exactly. So I was. So I was obviously part of that from the very early days as an event organizer, and I said, yeah, we can do it. But the amount of times Tom has said to me that how instrumental and you were in that, how you were almost like how bent on making sure that it went smoothly for everyone, and you didn't have to do that.
I made sure that I was networking with the people, making sure stuff was busy while I was away.
Exactly, and you didn't have to do that.
She didn't know nothing about. I made sure Phil was keeping her busy. She was also shooting with. She was shooting with, and then.
No, she was shooting with
between the
James, I think.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. Also, Nat, you're such a key person within this community that people talk to you. You're friendly, you're loving, you're caring, you care about everybody else. It feels right for these guys to be able to do something and give something back to you. And this is one thing that me and Dan hop on about especially on here, is it's a community. We want to build that community that everyone cares and loves each other and in the way that it is. And you deserve it. You really do. You do so much for people.
So this has been since September.
It's been in the planning for a little while. Yeah.
It was one of our Tuesday phone calls, wasn't it, Steph?
The amount of messages I've had with these guys planning this stuff. We're staying probably like a £5 Uber ride away. I managed to find a cheapish hotel just up the river. Yeah, we've got no money. We can afford to eat. We're good. So we're getting the train tomorrow at 1:00. Up to Liverpool, and then we'll sort of may go and hang out outside of the con. Couldn't get Saturday tickets, so we're all sold out. Sunday.
Is that the way you asked me to get that belt for MCM Birmingham?
Yes, for your cosplay to. No, it's not for Birmingham at all. It's for this one. You've got an extra bit for your cosplay. I'm sly as well. Don't worry about it. So then Sunday we are. So Sunday we've got early entry to the con, and then you've got an 11:20 photo op slot with the man himself, the Lord Voldemort. No, they won't let. I don't think they'll let me photograph you there, but
They won't.
I'll try. They probably won't, but there is an opportunity for me to be there as well. But it's a two-person art. But I'm going to say no. You're the fan. I love him from James Bond and things like that. But this is your opportunity, so I want you alone to have the photo with him. So I'll hold your bags and stuff. Yeah, you can go and meet him. And then afterwards I'll take a photo and I'll put it online and send it to all these guys. And then we can just, mooch around the con.
I am sourcing you, quite.
Babe, it's fine. The makeup is the main bit. You look amazing. Baby, you don't see.
It looked amazing.
Amazing.
You will look awesome.
You look awesome. Look,
You will look awesome.
It's a work in progress. You can change and evolve the cosplay as you go on.
Well, I'm sourcing new bits and pieces for cosplay.
That can be for next year.
It's going to be sourcing Nico. She, I'm having proper lines and everything, so that's going to cost a fortune.
But that's for next year. That's for next year.
As well. So, it's one of them that obviously, if I knew about it, so obviously I would have sourced it.
Well, you didn't know. I don't. And you wouldn't have been able to pull all that together in this amount of time for that amount of money anyway. So,
It's enormous. One glass on it. So,
well, I've been doing a podcast tonight. I've got to fuel myself somehow.
he's going to hold the wine to himself.
You had a glass.
He owes you one, darling. He owes you one.
So anyway, from me, from the bottom of my heart, and from the community, and in particular these guys, we just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
If would have been on, but he forgot we were doing this tonight, and he's up on a date.
Gareth's on a date. Well, I'm certainly not going to interrupt that. No, fair enough.
We were doing this tonight, otherwise he would.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't think you understand what this means to me.
No.
You all know I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. When I say a massive Harry Potter is an understatement. It's something I've been into since the very first book.
Well, now you're going to meet the evil man himself.
And I had God knows how many people tagging me. I had inboxes left, right, centre until I saw the ticket price, and I was just like, yes, I did it.
Well, could be worse. It could be like me next year when Sean Young, who played Rachel in Blade Runner, my all-time favourite film, is going to LFCC, and it's only £45 to go and see her, which is absolutely amazing. You think? Oh no, it's the same round as
LFCC.
It's what? I would go to LFCC to see someone from Blade Runner. However, it's the same. It's the same weekend as Secret Con Magna, so I still can't fucking go.
We love you, Darren.
What I'm going to need to do is find someone that isn't going to Secret Con, that lives near London, that I can send some memorabilia to, that can go and see Sean Young and get it signed. Yeah, but you're going to be at Secret Con.
I'm going to be at Secret Con.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be at Secret.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Secret Con.
Yeah. I want all you guys at Secret Con. I'll find someone else. Don't worry.
I've literally almost filled Alton Towers volunteers already.
Right. Which is, again, another reason why we appreciate you. So, this has been a bit of an unusual podcast tonight. Obviously, we had the MCM discussion and event discussion, which I think, despite issues, concluded quite positive. We all had a great event. It's just, I think it set us off on a bit of a back foot. Throughout the weekend, we all changed our way of thinking. And I think overall, we had a really great fun event. And we had a picnic. The picnic. Yay.
I'm in London, but it's put me off.
Yeah, it's probably busy for you. But you don't like
slight claustrophobia, and I don't do well in crowds. Now, obviously, I do kinds of stuff, but when I feel I'm triggered, I wander off.
Yeah, and there probably isn't.
Find space, and I start going for my arm.
And there isn't much space at MCM London, to be fair. Birmingham is probably okay, but so
me and Phil have got plans, and I'm not going to talk. I'm not discussing about it. It is.
It's growing. It's growing.
Can we only do cosplays that have three, please?
Yeah, he looks weird without one.
Can we discuss what you're doing, or is it?
no.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
I'll go on.
I'd probably know.
I don't still tell people what he's doing.
So I'm doing, for the Saturday, I'm doing Serious Black. Me and Nat are going to have a fight.
See, I wasn't going to cosplay until he said that and I went.
So that means I'm going to actually need to take some gear so I can photograph it.
Well, we need to
do this.
Maybe.
It's going to be season in the lake. We want to do.
Yeah, and I don't think the outside event is on this time, so we should be okay by the lake.
The thing is, worst case scenario, even if it is, we'll have a great fun having a mock fight in the corridor and making everybody go, what the hell is going on?
Even it's like, I can just imagine you two at a reasonable distance, stood on like the skywalk or something. As the skywalk's moving down, you two having some like massive wand battle.
Yes, down the alleyway.
Yeah.
Get the giggles out.
Yeah, we have to do that.
You can sort of like move around, and then I'll just film it on my mobile. I'll have a gimbal. I'll just film it for a laugh, just to have some like mad wand battle. Everyone will be wondering what the fuck's going on.
Well, it's funny actually, because at work when it's been quiet and I've gone out back, I definitely haven't been practicing all the wand movements.
Right. So anyway, we're going to end this segment. Because we've been going on for a little while again.
So much to read, and yeah, just will be.
Just have an amazing weekend.
Yes,
so much.
We will.
Enjoy
and I
it.
can't wait. We can't wait to hear all about it.
It'll be fun. It'll be good fun.
I can't wait to find out all the interviews he's going to get you to do.
I haven't even looked at that segment yet that you put on the thing. I really should. But anyway, thank you to everyone who's listened to the podcast today. Thank you for Lolly, who's been our special guest. You've been lovely as always. And
Thank you for having me.
Again, thank you very much for the picnic.
Anytime, and there will be more.
We definitely need to do that again. So I think we're going to close out. I'm going to hand over to my podcast partner to close us out. And thank you very much for listening.
So yeah, like Darren said, thank you very much for listening. It's been a mixed episode. It's been full of emotions, tears, happiness, picnic, and gate crashes. Anyways, massive thank you to for Lolly for joining in. Lolly, if you would like to have any parting words, and obviously don't forget to put your socials out there. And if anyone's listening, do go follow. She's incredible.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever had to do anything like this. Just, oh my gosh, be happy, people. Enjoy the little things. There's far too much sadness out there. Be happy, be with people that you love, and absolutely enjoy every little moment. And yeah, you can find me on Lollypoppow anywhere, anything. I don't actually know. I've lost my mind at this point. But I love you guys. This means the absolute world to me to have people like you guys in my life without getting too emotional. Through all sorts of different things, of which I will speak to you later about. But yes, definitely just enjoy yourselves and be happy. Make sure that you are happy.
Thank you very much. As always, myself and Darren have been your podcast hosts for this episode. We will be back again shortly. Hopefully, we'll get our Bane of Existence episode out at some point.
Yeah,
which we'll put
safety and etiquette. We will. We're working on that. Don't worry.
We're working on that one. So we will be back again soon. Obviously, you can find us on all our socials. We are on, obviously, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon Music.
Everywhere. We're everywhere.
Let's find us all under Cosplay, Togs, and All Things Nerdy. I'm not going to repeat it for every single one because I just Google search it. That's what you'll find. Good. You can find me on Instagram on switch_GN, and you can find my partner Darren at iPhoto UK on Instagram. Anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure. We will catch you all very soon, and I think the part message will be, Nat, enjoy Liverpool.
I better go think.
Take care.
As honestly. Love you lots.